So if you're a socialist, if you're a leftist, if you're an anti-capitalist of any variety, you should never even look at a monarch and be like, oh yeah, that's great. I can't believe it. You're being kind of rude right now. No, of course, they're the worst of the worst. And it's so bad that even capitalists understand that they're bad. Why are we celebrating a person dying? I don't get it. Okay, let me explain to you if you're new here, okay? First and foremost, death happens to all of us. It's a certainty. Some people die when they're young. It's traumatic. It's tragic. Others die when they're 96 years old. Now, if there's one person whose death you could celebrate, it's the type of person that maybe ruled over a monarchy that pretty much everyone on the planet in 2021 and 2022 has decided is just an outdated, morally abhorrent form of governance. Now, she might own the toothless, symbolistic version of that monarchy, but she very much still is responsible for continuation of the bloodshed and for numerous other instances where she's played the role of whitewashing and doing PR for the empire. Just because the British Empire doesn't have it like it once did, okay, maintaining ownership over 70 fucking countries, for example, okay, just because they don't have it and blowing a 13 colony lead doesn't change the reality that it's still pretty fucked up that they were just doing landlording for no reason, okay? Like, she's not just a relic. She's not just a relic, but that's good enough for people to shit on. But she's also an active participant. Remember, I showed you guys, like, the Kenyan independence, the woman who's still alive, who was tortured during the Kenyan independence. Here, I'll show you. Reminder that Queen Elizabeth is not a remnant of colonial times. She was an active participant in colonialism. She actively tried to stop independence movements, and she tried to keep newly independent colonies from leaving the Commonwealth. The evil she did was enough. Here, let's take a look. Here's DW News. This is from June. This woman was tortured with axes during Kenya's struggle for independence from British colonial rule. Muthoni Mathenge is challenging the Queen.
The word that one. No, the one now, I let her go to the can. Every mode, or the only Nahati Jega. I let her go. What by you?
She wants compensation for being tortured by British troops. She was part of the Mau Mau Rebellion, which began in 1952. Just after Queen Elizabeth II assumed the throne. There might be TOS in this, I don't remember, so I'm just going to full screen it for a second. Muthoni's husband was a rebel fighting the British colonizers. British troops tortured her, hoping she would give up her husband's location. He nursed my wounds and even my legs. But Muthoni was eventually caught by British troops as they brutally suppressed the rebellion. There is nothing more honorable and nothing more just than seeking emancipation, okay? And guess what? Hey, look at that. That sure looks like a concentration camp, doesn't it? That's one of the craziest things on this planet that we rarely ever consider, rarely ever discuss. I've talked about this before, but like, the Nazis saw that and were like, that's great, we're gonna take that. They looked at what England had done in Africa, and they looked at what America was doing in the South, okay? And they were like, that's kind of tight. We should do that. So remember that. You rented out a hospice care? Man, I don't know why this seems like a hospital. This is like a wedding reception hall, okay? Lamau, remember Hassan when you said hope nothing crazy happens when you're away? That's what I'm saying, bro. I cannot stay away, dude. It's just like every time I'm away from the computer for like 3.5 minutes, shit pops off. Every time. I'll be out there running around. I'll be doing like, I'll be working out in the sun, touching the grass, and then boom, shit happens, dude. I can't do anything. Ditch Zoy Zorball. I'm sorry. I know. I'm bad. I'm bad for that. But what do you want me to do? I think that's an understandable take, right? Part of the reason why I have a desktop setup here was because Cutie knew that if some shit was popping off, that I was gonna stream it. And this is very much shit popping off. Then stop touching shit. Saw the queen was dead and immediately thought, bet you Hasan is live, and here you are. This is why I need to take more days off. Anyway, here. Along with thousands of other Kenyans, she was detained in inhumane conditions. Thousands more were killed. At times, the dead bodies would fill up 2 lorries, and they would bury them all day. They weren't allowed back inside at all before we buried them all. We buried 6 people per grave. The British government paid compensation to more than 5,000 rebels in 2013. But Muthoni Mahenge says without a lawyer, she was not able to claim any of the money. Now she wants justice from the British head of state. For herself and for her husband, who never emerged from the forest. Anyway, her reign as queen is older than the oldest African colony to gain independence. Her reign is older than Ghana, and she'd been queen for 4+ years when the Gold Coast gained independence. When Nkrumah was attempting to turn the Gold Coast into the Republic of Ghana, she tried to stop it. Do not allow. She did this in Australia with trade unionists and socialist movements. Like, the queen has always been used as a way to continue doing, the same kind of concentration of power shit. Do not allow anyone to distort this history, claiming that she allowed for independence on the continents. Independence was won despite her attempts to stop it. In fact, when her father died, she was on a tour of the colonies attempting to discourage independence movements. It is mind-blowing to you that on the last actual colonizer still alive, one of the last actual colonizers is still alive and ruling today. Remember that most of your African countries are younger than some of our grandparents. My grandparents became adults while Ghana was still a colony named the Gold Coast. Maybe fact check this guy before sharing his views. Wait, fact check what? Fact check what? That the fucking English Empire was real? Fact check true. What do you mean? What are you asking for as a fact check? It's like saying, can you fact check if slavery was abhorrent or not? It's like one of those things that is such a fundamental truth that, like, you know that already. I said fact check colonialism in Africa. Here's a good fact check for you. Exclusive. How Ghislaine Maxwell and Kevin Spacey relaxed at Buckingham Palace as guests of Prince Andrew. Yeah. Whatever you think of the Queen, a human being with loved ones passed away today. Show some respect. Picture unrelated. Picture very much related. We fought a bloody revolution. Have some self-respect, man. It is a shameful experience. An incredibly shameful experience. We already covered this. That, like, Americans are so pathetic, sniveling little babies that they are trying to talk about the Queen and be like, put some respect on her name. Are you insane? Bro, the whole point of this nation-building project was literally overcoming this, okay? Listen, this is a time for all the Scotsmen and all the Irishmen to celebrate. This is a joyous day for you. This is your day, okay? If you're living in Barbados, if you're living in the Caribbean, if you're living in Africa, if you're living in any of the, if you're living in the MENA region, if you're living in China, it's like So many parts of the fucking planet was impacted in a devastating capacity, in a really horrifying way. By the way, thank you, Las Canarias, for the 20 gifted subs. But as I was saying, so many parts of the world are celebrating today, and there's a reason for it. And that's because these guys, I mean, this family didn't do great shit. This family was really bad. The best days on Twitter are when someone bad dies at age 137 and people are like, hey, fucker, you fucked around and now you're in fines outs, Will. Yeah, I mean, she died at 96. Like, that's a dub for her. That's a dub for her. There's nothing you can do about it. That's a dub for her. It's so strange to me, especially when you're, like, not from the UK. Like, if you're from the UK and you, like, kind of grew in this, and this is, like, you know, everyone's telling you you have to be sad, I kind of understand. I mean, it sucks, and you shouldn't feel bad about it at all. But, like, I get that you were conditioned to feel bad about it, right? But if you're not from the UK, what's it to you? You're such a bitch. Like, you're simping. You're simping. She don't know you, little bro. She don't know you. You're simping for her, but she don't know you. She's also dead and burning in hell now. So there's that part. I am disrespectful. I am disrespectful. What are you gonna do about it? Of course I'm disrespectful. It's the fucking queen, dude. Like, you're not even in the Imperial Corps and you're out here crying and complaining like, oh, you're being so disrespectful. You're like, yeah, I am. So what? I am being disrespectful. So what? Here, let's read him to filth a little bit more, okay? Fun royal family fact. Queen Elizabeth had 2 severely disabled first cousins who were publicly pronounced dead in 1940 and 1961, respectively. But they both actually lived in a care home with no visits or support from the royal family until their actual deaths in 1986 and 2014. The family never sent the girls a birthday or Christmas cards or Christmas gifts or whatever. When one died in 1986, none of her family attended the funeral. Her grave was marked with plastic tags and serial number until her existence was revealed in the media. After which the family added a gravestone. The woman received no money from the family other than 125 quid paid to their hospital each year. Just unbelievably cruel. Now, yeah, they were trapped in a mental hospital for the rest of their fucking lives, right? Now let me just explain something to you. Let me explain something to you, okay? The Kennedys did the same thing, yeah. Here's a picture of Queen Elizabeth and Aden. The Queen ruled over South Yemen as a colony in which native Yemenis were separated from public image while white Britons lingered around as if it was their own country. Here's why you can't fucking say, oh man, I'm so sad she died. Because by the very definition, her job was to be the normalizing face of the monarchy, of British colonial power, of British imperialism, holding on desperately, clinging on for dear life. She's not with Princess Diana because she's not in heaven. That's what. At least Princess Diana was like, you know, pretty good on the PR front. Diana's up there having a tea party with Gandhi. You know where she is? She's down there. Down there, in the words of Lemmy, she's down there, okay? United with all of her friends. Nancy Reagan's down there. Slorp glorping. Okay? That's what she's down there. With Thatcher. And Reagan. She's eating spotted dick. With Margaret Thatcher. Yeah, that's right. I just wish it happened on 9/11 so we could have had the greatest day of lip posting ever. To be fair, Michael, it wouldn't be 9/11 for them. It would be 11/9. So it hits a little different. You know what I mean? Like they'd say like, oh, 11/9, never forget. 11/9, never forget. You know? And it honestly doesn't hit the same. But America is such a domineering superpower that maybe we could like force them to say like the Queen died on 9/11. You know what I mean? Because, like, you know, why not? Like, we are the kingdom now. Like, you blew a 13 colony lead. You don't get to fucking make the rules. You don't get to say 11/9. You say 9/11, bruv. Top tier commentary, bro. Fuck yeah. Why do you think people watch me instead of Don Lemon, you fucking dingus? This is precisely the reason why people come in here and watch me. On the 30th of November 1967, the last British soldier leaves Yemen, and the Yemeni people turn to the streets celebrating the victory of their anti-colonial struggle. Queen Elizabeth is a colonizer and has blood on her hands, of course. The main punitive measure of Queen Elizabeth's aid in colony was forced deportations of native Yemenis into Yemen's desert heartland. The deportations came in response to the Aid and Trade Union Congress's call for industrial action in 1958. If you're a leftist in any meaningful capacity, LARPing or fighting for the monarch, or even feeling kind of sad for the monarch, even if it's for a brief fucking moment, you're out of your mind. Because they also routinely position themselves against any kind of communist, socialist, trade unionist movement as well. Because the monarchs were yet another representation of the concentration of power at the tippy top. That's why I've always said the main difference between a monarchistic system, a theocratic monarchy, for example, versus a capitalist system, is that a capitalist system creates intergenerational wealth and has the similar structures. However, the main guiding belief that anchors capitalism is the lie of meritocracy. The main anchoring belief system within a theocratic monarchy is that God chose Queen Elizabeth to be the chosen one, to rule over the land, right? But in a capitalist structure, it's meritocracy. So if you're a socialist, if you're a leftist, if you're an anti-capitalist of any variety, you should never even look at a monarch and be like, oh yeah, that's great, I can't believe it, you're being kind of rude right now. No, of course, they're the worst of the worst. And it's so bad that even capitalists understand that they're bad, or they're supposed to understand. But some capitalists at the very least recognize how fucking cuck they are and how much they love licking the boot, that they themselves will find themselves defending the monarchy. You understand? That's the point. Since when were you a historian? Please be quiet. Wait, what do you mean? If you're a socialist and you're mourning Queen Elizabeth, you're not? Yeah, it's just so stupid. My dude is at camp with incredibly talented people and beautiful women and instead choose to talk about some old-ass English broad who hasn't had an orgasm since anyone believed in a female orgasm. What the hell? Bro, this is extremely my shit. I'm sorry. If the queen dies, I have to talk about it. Okay? Like, you're crazy. Like, this is a... How many times am I gonna fucking disrespect the monarchy while the shit's hot? You know what I mean? Some things are a little bit more important. There are certain things in life that are incredibly important. One of those things is never miss an opportunity to have a teachable moment for many people who are currently paying attention, especially when there's an overwhelming amount of coverage going in the opposite direction that is hailing the queen, saying how incredible she is, hyping her up, saying she lived a long life full of grace and glory. I'm going to use every opportunity to fucking use that to counter that narrative, right? Here, let's talk a little bit more. Also, dude, any country that has like seen the negative consequences of British rule or governance is going to have a lot to say today. Al Jazeera Plus says the Queen Elizabeth ascended to the throne in 1952, becoming the head of state in 70 plus territories through the British colonial legacy. Think about that. That's crazy. She didn't do nothing. She crawled out of her mother's pussy and boom, blammo. 70 plus territories, brother. And by the end of her reign, she still maintained queen status over 14 Commonwealth states, having been removed as head of state in several, most recently Barbados. At the time of Queen Elizabeth's coronation, President Dwight Eisenhower was in the White House. She has spent time with every U.S. president except Lyndon Johnson. 15 U.K. prime ministers held office during her reign. Queen Elizabeth had an estimated net worth of $500 million plus holdings in estates worth about $25 billion in 2019. This includes Buckingham Palace worth over $1 billion and Balmoral Castle worth nearly $70 million. The average UK citizen makes about $43,300. Prince Charles is now going to inherit the British throne at the age 73, at the young, blossoming age of 73, following the death of Queen Elizabeth. He and his family will also inherit the Queen's estimated $500 million fortune and receive the annual sovereign grant, which was $116.7 million in 2021. King Charles III is now head of state in 14 countries outside the UK, a legacy of British colonization. But some have indicated plans to cut those ties in Jamaica. Officials have said they plan to become a republic and seek $10 billion in reparations for the slave trade. Okay? If you are, especially in the United States of America, it's the one good thing we did. It's the one thing that you can quite literally look to and say, that was a good thing. That's part of the reason why I will sometimes say, look, the founding fathers, racist. The founding fathers had slaves. The founding fathers, not great guys. Didn't build a very good foundation for this country. But the one good thing they did was do this to the fucking monarchy. Okay? They did this. So if you're an American, today is a day to rejoice. Today is not a day to mourn the monarchy. What's wrong with you? We did it. You did it. Your forefathers did it. It's kind of the whole point of our little project here, is to say, suck my dick to the British Empire, and you're over here being like, oh, it's a little fucked up, right? I mean, she's a queen after all, whatever. Like, why? Why do you have peasant brain? Why? What's wrong with you? It's the one dub that you can take home. You can take that dub to the fucking bank, dude, okay? And you're still out here being like, oh, maybe we should have a nation of mourning ourselves. Like, no, get the fuck out of here. You should be ashamed of yourself, especially if you're an American. You understand me? The Queen's England is today waging another war against Yemen together with the US and Saudi Arabia and the UAE, by the way. Other colonial remnants, colonial projects of the United States Empire in collaboration, in cahoots with the British Empire. The war is now in its 7th year in Yemen. Okay? So remember that. There's a man-made genocide famine happening in Yemen right now as a consequence of the colonial remnants. Another theocratic monarchy launching absolute bloody warfare in Yemen. Anyway, England is now maidenless? True.